following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Phoenix, Arizona. Brother Mike is back on the radio after 20 years. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to Ramon, the engineer at KXXT Christian Radio. Thank you for a wonderful 20 years and for being a friend of the ministry. Today's Bible study. Naomi Judd dies of suicide. Tragic story. Hey, will you call somebody who's suffering from depression right now and tell them the radio program's on? I got enormous good news for you today. This is Brother Mike. I'm the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center. Been a counselor for 40 years, on the radio for 20. At the website, hardcorechristianity.com, you'll see all of our ministry services. We have 2 live services every week, Thursdays and Friday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific and Arizona time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Both those services are broadcast live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/houseofhealingaz. Please go to the PayPal button and send us another donation. You've kept us on the air for 20 years. Thank you. Don't forget about Sister Karen. She's on the homepage of the website. She'll be happy to list your house for sale. When you go to the website, please sign up for one of our free seminars or my deliverance and healing training class. That's the 4th Saturday of every month in the small sanctuary at the Arizona Deliverance Center. Remember, we're downtown on 15th Avenue, just south of Osborne Road. It's the red brick building. If you need a religious exemption to avoid the vaccine, and this thing is massively demonic, send me an email, mike@hardcorechristianity.com, and I will send it to you. Do you know someone who needs to be healed or delivered and cannot come to the Deliverance Center? Send me an email, mike@hardcorechristianity.com, and I will send you the miracle list, a step-by-step guide to freedom that works 100% of the time. Naomi Judd, what a tragedy. Can you even believe this happened? It sure did. Naomi Judd, a beautiful woman. She had a great personality, a fantastic voice. She was one of the top country singers in history. I think she had 9 or 10 number 1 songs, something like that. But since she was a child, she was suffering from depression. What is depression? The number 1 illness in the United States of America, and it's accelerating like it's off the chain. Clinical depression is the severe form of depression and is what she had, which commonly leads to suicide by pills. Clinical depression is one of my specialties. Over 90% of the people that come to the Arizona Deliverance Center with depression go home completely healed. If you have it and you're a Christian, you're eligible for free counseling services, 602-636-5800. Check it out in Proverbs. There's clinical depression there. Proverbs chapter 14, quote, "Even in laughter the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that mirth is heaviness." Proverbs 12, "Heaviness in the heart of a man makes it stoop." But here's the revelation that you're not going to believe, and I hope you will believe it. It's going to be a shocker. Clinical depression is caused by demons, and here's the demon. Isaiah chapter 61, the great prophet predicted the coming of the Messiah, the Moshiach, the Christ, the Christos. And he says, quote, "To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, and to give them beauty for ashes, and the oil of joy for their mourning, and the garment of praise in place of the spirit of heaviness." Clinical depression is caused by this demon, the spirit of heaviness. I've seen and worked against him literally for years. There isn't a month go by somebody doesn't come to the Deliverance Center suffering with this spirit, the spirit of heaviness. And Naomi Judd, when she was little, was molested by, I think, a relative. I think it was a cousin or something. And a spirit entered her body, during that molestation period, a spirit of perversion. And that demon later let in a spirit of rejection and depression, a spirit of heaviness. And she suffered with what they said was, quote, extreme and, quote, severe depression the rest of her life. When they stopped touring in 2011, her depression accelerated. She was stuck at home, buried alive practically for 3 years. And she had been through clinics and counseling numerous times over the years, and of course none of it worked. And none of it can work because the root cause of clinical depression is the spirit of heaviness. In my counseling practice, I see them completely healed and cured because once the spirit of heaviness is removed, the person recovers and their real personality rises to the forefront. She'd been interviewed on, TV and wrote a book. She wrote a book one time called The River of Time, My Descent into Depression and How I Emerged with Hope. Of course, that never happened because if you don't get rid of the spirit of heaviness and get him out of your brain, it's actually a demon that lives in the person's brain and puts in chronic negative thoughts, self-deprecating thoughts, thoughts of self-hatred, self-pity, self-disappointment, self-criticism. He puts these thoughts into the person's mind constantly, and the person thinks the thoughts are theirs, so they believe the thoughts. They feel and seem real. And when she was 18 years old, she tried to commit suicide because her depression got so bad. And she said, here's a quote from her book, quote, I have thoughts where I say to myself, this is too much. Then I call somebody. I literally will call somebody because I have been stuck in my sadness where I didn't, and we have to reach out. And that's been the hardest thing for me because I'm not good at asking for help, and that's it, unquote. And she said she was frequently plagued by thoughts about how tough life is. Now, to a normal person that doesn't have depression, that appears to be nuts. Here she is, a gorgeous woman, enormously talented, multimillionaire, very successful recording artist, has the world by the tail. There you go. She's got everything, one would think. But she committed suicide because of depression. What's that telling you? Well, I'm telling you what it is. I know exactly what it is. I'm an expert in this field. It's a spirit. Clinical depression is caused by a spirit. Now, not all depression is caused by demons. Some people go through depression for very legitimate reasons. For example, if you had someone that you loved or cared deeply for and they died suddenly, or they got in an accident, or they became disabled or deceased, what have you, it's perfectly normal to go through a period of depression. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not mentally ill. You're not sick. That's a perfectly normal reaction of a human being to go through short periods of depression. The problem is if the depression turns into what they call dysthymia, that is depression that's lasted 2 years or more, then you've got a serious problem on your hands of a potential suicide because of clinical depression. These demons that get into the children, it usually occurs during childhood, during periods of trauma or fear events. Once these spirits get into the person's body, they start causing what psychologists call sleep paralysis. Okay, these demons that are in the body draw spirits that are outside the body, and they attack the person during REM sleep while they're in bed at night. And they hover over the body, and they cause the person to wake up. The person wakes up, they're frozen, they can't move, they try to say something, they can hardly get the words out, they're scared half to death. And Judd, she suffered from this literally all of her life. She had sleep paralysis since she was young. And that is also caused by fear spirits. The spirit of heaviness works cooperatively with fear demons, and they work together to keep the person in a state of chronic anxiety, interrupted sleep patterns, sleep deprivation, and night terrors, bad dreams, repetitive bad dreams. These are all symptomatology of having a spirit of heaviness and fear demons. She said in her book that her mind would take her hostage in ways that were, quote, unbelievably terrifying, she said. The fear was so real. She felt as if she was fighting a human assailant. That's exactly what these demons do. They attack you at night, and it's 100% real. People think, oh, you're just having a dream. No, you're not dreaming. You can feel it, and you woke up, and you can't move your body, and you're scared half to death. She said, quote, I reach up to my throat expecting to find a pair of hands belonging to an intruder is out to kill me with a grip that is slowly closing down on my windpipe. I'm hyperventilating. I'm in danger, but I don't know the reason why. Well, unquote. Well, listen, the reason why is because she's being attacked by fear spirits at night. They're trying to choke her out, and the spirit of heaviness is working with them, cooperating, trying to kill the person. She said in her book that her dogs would wake up due to her episodes. She would be struggling in bed, terrorized, and the dogs would wake up and come over to the bed to find out what in the world was going on with her. And she said the dogs actually acted like there was an unwanted person in her home. Well, those were the fear demons. Sometimes they come into your room at night. They're like shadow figures. And sometimes animals can sense them, particularly cats for some reason. But she had panic attacks and anxiety her entire life. She was tortured with it. And then when they went off the road and she wasn't working anymore, that was in 2011, her condition worsened dramatically. And the night terrors and all the pain that she was suffering emotionally just accelerated. If her story sounds like yours or someone you know and care about, 602-636-5800. If they are a Christian, there's no charge for born-again Christians. There's no reason for you to end up like Naomi Judd. There's no reason. There's no reason for you to kill yourself. I have over a 90% complete cure rate for clinical depression. That is not a joke. You can challenge me on it if you want to. I dare you to. Challenge me on it. Give me a call, 602-636-5800. There's no charge for born-again Christians. We have a number of donors who love you and donate and pay the fee for you. If you don't have any money, that's no problem. Please come for help.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.